Hi everyone, welcome to another video on OneForm. Since this doesn't have any logic in it, I'm going to start adding that logic. Now, yesterday we have a new thing that was built called create observable, and that was done in a different video. And now we can create observables, which we're going to need for both the errors and the values. But I'm going to start with the values part because the value state is its own thing. And I'm pretty soon going to need to go into field registration as soon as I start this. But I think what's most important is I'll start with the values. And I'm going to start using hooks for this. And the reason I'm going to use hooks is so I can test the code. If I put code in a React component, it is much more difficult to test that logic. If it was a class component, it's easy to test it because it's in functions and methods that you can call. With hooks, as far as I know, you cannot test hooks inside of React components. You have to test the component itself. If you want to test the hook separately, so if you create a hook, like a separate hook that we're going to call values state, then, or use value state, then we can now test this as its own little hook thing separately. And I'm going to have to figure that out. But I also forgot to install React testing library, which we're going to need for that. So yarn, whoa, I'm off a key. Yeah, I think I'm sitting weird just to be away from the mic. Yarn, add React testing library. No, that's not how you do it. It's at testing library React, which means I also need to install at testing library Cypress because I must have done it wrong. Now that I think about it, we go to our package.json, that one down here, there should be one Cypress testing library. Yeah, I need to get rid of that because I'm pretty sure it's at testing library Cypress. Yes, it is. Let me see what's in my thing. And all of these things should not be dependencies. I keep forgetting to put -d. I don't know what it is with me today. That's all gone. All right, good. At least I'm on the latest version. Somebody probably noticed that, and now you can feel better. Because look at this version on 7. That was for we're going to set up our values state and into a hook. And I have no clue how it's all going to work because I did this last time I did this. It was all in one file and it was easy to work with in one file, but it was a little bit much to manage. I'm going to do it in multiple files because I want to unit test it. And that was one of our goals. Or one of my goals. And that was one of the goals of getting this thing open sourced is that if I wanted to open source it at work, we would have to unit tested it, but it was built in a way that was difficult. I was like, I'll just build it and I'll do it from scratch. And I can show people how you would do it from scratch. So we want to import that from that, which I already did over here. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but it's this part of it. This is a use values state from OneForm. Use values state. We're not exposing these hooks. These are internal hooks, but they are hooks nonetheless. And I'm trying to think how I want to do this. I know we need use ref from React. I know we need that much. Without building the whole thing, it's actually hard to think about. I built it all at once and it was very easy. Now I'm trying to build it in pieces, trying to remember what I did maybe 9 months ago. And this is also wrong from, you can tell, I'm out of practice. It's weird too. Yeah, I've been in Node.js world for, I don't know, a month now, 2 months. Use ref. Is it values observable? Value observables ref. Because it's going to be observables that we're shooting in here. This is going to be a container of observables. So use values state. Yeah, I think this is correct. Maybe it's value observables. It could be something like that. But we want to say state because there are different state managers inside the form that are all doing different things and have different requirements, take in different args. And this one will be set based on whatever values is. I'm trying to remember. I have to think about it. Let me think for a second. I remember now. So we have value observables ref, but we also are going to have like local values ref because we need some way to get the current value. And the observable does not contain that information. So I could make it so the observable does contain that information. And that's what I'm wondering. Because the observable publishes a value to listeners, but you could have a get state on it that would give you the current value that was last passed to the publish function. Now, I had this observable as like a dumb thing, but it could act like in RxJS something called a behavior subject, which maintains its state. And I think we want that because I need the local values of the observables for both the errors and the values. I need to know what they are at any point in time. This would be very helpful. Now, if you subscribe to it, you get the value, or you can do it called a get state and you'll immediately get it. I feel like I'm getting Firebase vibes too, because that's what they do. They have a way to listen for changes. Firebase is a kind of like real time. They have something called Firestore, which is a real time database that you can use in the client. That's like such a broad way of describing it. Basically, they also have a .get function to get a value immediately. So it has to make a database call, but it gives you the value immediately versus an on snapshot, which is where it listens to updates from, oh, you can't see it. I'm so sorry. It listens to updates from the database. And so anytime changes are made, you get those changes. This is the same thing, is that anytime a value comes in, we get the value. But I also want to know sometimes at any point in time what that value is, especially internal to the form. I think I'm going to do that. So we have to update this unit test, observable test, and which means I'm going to have to put this over here like this, and we run our unit test again, and I'll put these side by side, and we're going to have to add a test for it. We're also going to have to add code for it for this to even work. That's fine. I can save that. But we need to add a way to get to the current state. So now we need a get state function, and get state is going to be equal to, you don't pass it anything, but it returns you back the current state, which we are not storing anywhere. That's important because we do need to store this somewhere. State ref. And the state ref is, there's null, just null. And now down here, it's state ref.current. That's being returned from here. And at the same time, the publish is going to set that state, but we're going to just, since it's internal, we're going to do one of these guys. The first thing we do is set it, and then we tell the subscribers that it is there. So if you, I don't know why that matters, but that's how we're going to do it. And we need to expose get state down here at the bottom. And then now we need to test it. So we need to go all the way to the bottom of our unit test. I feel like I'm done with this particular file, but now we have more tests to do. Yeah, I guess this is what we want because this is the one that did publishing. So I'll just duplicate it right there. I want to make the font smaller, but I don't know if anybody can read it. Because for me, something like this would be a little bit better to handle. So I'm going to make it like an in-between, and hopefully this is okay. If it's not okay, I'll change it next time. There. I can make it thinner, or I can make it thicker. My plugin that I wrote for Sublime Text to change the font size based on the, the font based on the font size is like off by 1 because that's how the messages come in. And so there's like an in-between place where I can change between 2 different fonts. Usually it's not an issue. So should maintain the value that was published. So we don't need multiple subscribers here. We just need one. And I don't even need to know if it was called or anything like that. I don't even need to pass anything into it. I just need to know if I do publish a value, that value is currently on get state. So it would be observable.get state. And that would give me the current state of the observable, which is going to be, I guess. Is that it? That's so simple, that test. We can verify that the test worked by looking over here on the side when it runs. I was sure it was going to pass. So if it didn't pass, I would have been upset. Because it wasn't one of those errors like that where I forgot to do this equal. Cool. So there we go. We have a get state method now. Now, the thing is, I didn't call unsubscribe, which is dumb. There. Oh, we don't even need a subscriber. What am I thinking? Yeah, you don't even need one. Oh, that was really simple. Okay, cool. So now that we've created that get state method, value observables ref is going to just be value observables ref. And we need to we can expose a get field method because we don't want to have the form library know about all this stuff. So we can have it, there could be like some use callbacks. I feel like the first time I was thinking about this, it was a lot easier. Maybe it's because I didn't do the code initially. I did code. I put this in our other form library. Like I'd come up with all these concepts and stuff. I can't remember now. That's been over a year ago for sure. Well over a year. Use callback. Yeah, but what is it going to give us? It's going to get field value. I guess that works because we can have get field error and stuff. I'm going to use the word field a lot because it's just not just get value. Like that doesn't make any sense. It's the field value. So this is actually going to return something, which is funny because it's a use callback. And the ref should be defined above it. And the ref should initialize with what? That's a good question. I can make it up here so it doesn't create it more than the one time. But it would be the same one for everything. Yeah, but we're not going to mutate it. So since we don't mutate it, then I can easily do something like this. If somebody does mutate it, it could break the code. I don't want it to be, so here's the thing. I can make it object prototype. I don't want to do that because I don't want to get into a situation. So I'm not going to do that, but somebody else might. I don't know who would take over my code and break it. So initial value observables, and we'll just make it one of these and pass it in. And probably already guess what I'm going to do. Oh, there's our initial and then get field value. We are going to get this thing. We're going to do a .current. We need it for the current field value. So we need to pass something in here. I don't know if I want this to take an object or not. I'm thinking about it and I don't know. I think it just needs to be the field name actually, not field value, obviously, because we're going to give it the field name. I think I just want it to be a name. Where's my Windows up here? I have Git Kraken open. Okay, cool. I just need to make sure I can commit when we get to that point. I don't want to, oh yeah, I should commit that get state change. Hang on, you guys can't see it. Yeah, I'll just pause the video and then commit that. I forgot where I was. That's all there. So to get the field name, we just get the field name, done. And we haven't even defined how we're setting them, but I know this is how we're going to get them. Use field. Oh, this needs to be exported. I've taken notes on some of these things on what I need to do, but a lot of it's just by memory. And I feel like I would normally know it better than I do today. So set field value also won't use this. It would publish. And let me think about this. When you set a value on a field internally, you do want to publish that value to subscribers always. So I think that's fine. You just call publish and it's like setting it. Get value, and then we use the observable to get the value. So this would give you back an observable, and then you do get value, get state. Or does it get value? It would be get state because it's the internal state of it. Or does it get value? I really do think it should be get value. Even if it's an error or something, it's still get value of that observable. Oh, yeah. Why was I thinking get state? Should be get value. I even think that's what RxJS does. It wouldn't be state ref either. It would be value ref. There we go. And then it's going to fail, which I wanted to fail. Create test because my tests are broken. There's just this last test, but still an important test. Yeah, get value. Perfect. I'm not exposing the value because I can do get value and I get it. I just need to expose the subscribers because that's the one thing I can't track. Get field value. Maybe there's a way to track it. Like somebody might tell me, or I might think of it off camera and I'll maybe be like, oh, yeah, of course, I could have totally done that. I feel like I forget things a lot when I'm on the camera and I'm not thinking. Like even right now, I was like, if I just built this myself, it would be really quick. If I'm trying to do it on camera, like trying to think about it and explain it. And I'll also second guess myself a lot when I'm talking. A lot. And I normally don't. From our hook, we will return some things. We can return that. We don't actually have to return this thing. I just return this function. It's not like it's ever getting updated, ever. So why don't I just return these? The people don't need these directly. This is so much better than the last time this was built. And no offense to, everybody involved. It was me too. So when you set the field value, you're going to do this. You're just going to call that publish. And the setter will take two things. It'll take a field name and a value. The field value. It's not the field value though. It's just a value. Yes. And I could make it an object, but I think this is fine. I think that makes sense. I don't like having like multiple args. I think 2 is okay, but I don't like putting multiple args these days because I feel like you can't scale that as easily as you can with an object. Yeah, this is great. Man, what a simple little API here. Now we got to test this. And why is this erroring? Oh, because we're not using it. Yeah, how do you create a field? You have to add a field or something? Add field? Something like this. So add field would be weird because you can register fields and stuff, but this is add. It's not add field value either because you can get it and set it. This is like you're adding the field itself so that the values, well, that add field would be somewhere else. This is add field value. Fine. Is it really get field value though at this point? It's just get value. This is called value observables. We could just call it observables ref because it's internal. Yeah, this is better. So add field value. To add it, we need to create, it's another use callback, isn't it? Because we gotta expose this function. Yeah, it's exposed. And also because we're using a ref, this is like the interesting thing. Because we're using a ref and observables, we don't have a second arc here, meaning these never update, meaning they don't force changes in them, don't force the form to update, which is the goal. That is my goal. To add a field, you would get the field name. Yes. And you would do this. Yes. And you would do equals here. And you're going to equal it to itself concatenated with the, no, these are created based on the name. So first we need to check if it exists already. I know that code down there looks weird. We need to check that field name if this exists, because if it does, we need to return you the old one. Otherwise, we need to return you whatever. So this is a ternary operation, I think. No, because I need to do a side effect. And that's the crappy part about all this, but I need to do a side effect. I need to modify I'm not mutating it, but I need to create a new object that this is going to hold with some extra values. All right, so this is going to return that. If it exists, it returns that. This is like totally ternary situation here. I could make it a ternary. There are ways to make ternaries with the equal signs inside them, but I think people would get upset, and I'm not going to do it that way if people are upset. So it's not implicit return anymore, which is the easy way to change it. Hang on, let me see. KMM? Yeah, I can. That's okay to do it. There's got to be a better way to do it. Okay, let's see what we're doing here. We don't have a get value for sure, and this is incorrect. This needs to be an object with all of the previous ones and then a new observable. If it's already exists, I don't want that. I'm just going to return it. Is this add field value? I don't need to return anything though. Do I? I don't think I need to return anything. Does anything else need the observable? Yes. Yes. That would be observable or something. Let me think. Use field will need access to the observable because it needs to subscribe to it. We can, in this area, in this hook, we can expose a method that would allow you to subscribe to any field. So this is subscribe to field value. Yes, that is the function that it is that creates the observables, the observables, because it is when you subscribe to the field value. Otherwise, you will get null because there is no field. Or we could put quote quote or something like that. We can always do one of these or quote quote or something like that. Okay. This is like looking awful here. I'm still not figured it out, but I'm almost there. So when you subscribe to a field value, you need to get the unsubscribe function. This is going to give you an unsubscribe after we do that. So you're going to subscribe to this with a callback. How do I want this to look? This is where it would be good to do one of these, because I don't want to pass two values, because one of them will be a callback function and I want them named. I want it obvious to somebody to know what they are. So there's a subscriber and it returns you the unsubscriber for that particular one. But it knows what the observable is in here. So it has it because it's created it itself. So when you call that subscribe, you're getting it on the previous observable. You're getting the unsubscribe function, which is what you expect to get when you subscribe with your subscriber. When you call subscribe to field value. Yeah. Is it down here too? No. I can't believe I've forgotten all this. And then I'm remembering it as I go, but I'm like totally forgot the architecture, which is the thing that I felt like I knew really well. I created this whole thing already. This was done before I even built this one thing. I didn't build it, but before we built it as a team, I had come up with this strategy already to fix our current form issue, which had other issues. I was like, hey, if we use observables, it'll fix the performance of it. It was so bad that you could see yourself typing. You could type the letters and it would lag and you would lose letters and you could like see it going. Like that's how bad it was. So that's also why I'm into memoization and all these performance techniques, is because React is a death by 1,000 cuts library. Whereas if you don't do it right the first time, then you can't just fix it. You can't just be like, it's slow here, so I'll just add memoization. No, it's like the whole app is going to be slow. You can't just fix that anymore once it's broken. And I've run into that situation multiple times now. And so I'm very keen on memoization. The only times that I have been messed up by React's 1,000 cuts kind of way of performance is when I didn't use memoization. So Redux, the React Redux library, I know I'm getting off topic here. The React Redux library comes with a connect method, and that connect method will make your functions pure, meaning it will memoize them automatically for you. When I say your functions, your components, it'll make your components memoized automatically. And so people got this for free for years and they didn't know. And then React used to have these classes. And when you defined your components as classes, your handlers, if you don't .bind in the onChange callback, so if you don't do, they would call it like handle change or something stupid like that instead of update value or something like this. But it would be like handle change .bind. I don't want to say you're stupid if you're doing this. Sorry. You have to do something like this. Handle change .bind this, whatever. If you did this in your constructor, which people started doing, then that would also memoize this value. This value would be memoized. So that was another place that things were memoized. And then everyone moved to function components and memoization went out the window. And then we got all these render props and memoization went out the window because you can't memoize anonymous functions in those. So people stopped doing it. And then React brought all this stuff and they're like, you use hooks where you need them and stuff like that. And they're just trying to make it easy for people to get into it. But the thing is, you really should do it everywhere. You should always be memoizing and putting things in there. And yes, there is a cost to it, but the cost to not doing it, I think, is far greater. And so that's my argument. Let's get off my pedestal now. And so here, this is all written incorrectly. We're not concatenating it. No, it is not. It's an object. It's an object. Stop. We need to ... all the stuff in there. Oh my goodness. This is going to be weird, isn't it? No. We need to ... that thing in. And then we need to also add the new one, which is the field name here. Hopefully this is like worthwhile for people to watch. Let's see. If it's not, I don't know why it wouldn't be. Obviously this is the form library everybody's using. It's called OneForm, meaning the one form to rule them all, or the number one form. How about that? Number one form, or the one form you need. Yeah. So I don't know. It does feel like a pretty good name. It's just weird. Yeah, but this is what it is. So if it already exists, use the current one and then subscribe to it. Otherwise, add this to your observables ref and then return the subscriber. Oh, there's some other ways to do it. Let me think. If it's not here, I can add it and then I can do something. Now, this is where we get clever, and I don't know if I want to be clever, but you could do something like this. Let's say if this doesn't exist, there's not one for the current user. This is where we can get into ternary situation. We could do this, and it wouldn't be a ternary. It would be an or, which might be easier to read because the code's all in one spot. I'm thinking about this. Come on. There we go. And then this would be create observable right here, or it creates a new one. And then at the same time, we could, I wonder if there's another way to do this. We could set this into this object the same as, I'm not mutating it. I'm absolutely not going to mutate it. That's not my goal here. So I'm going to keep it immutable. And this is how you keep it immutable, even though it's ref and technically you're mutating the .current. Yeah, I don't think I want to do it that way either. So I'll just keep it like this. And then, but the thing is, this code would be the same. You still return this code here, no matter what. So I guess what we want to know is if it doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, then we add it. I don't like the negative, but that's the only way to do this check here. So if it doesn't exist, we add it and then we use it and we return it. So then this return statement, let's see how I did it. Is that it? Okay. Then this just is out here. So this will always be there. We'll always return this, but if it's not there, we'll first set it and then return it. I think that's fine. This also does not need a second arg because the only thing is that. And then this one's coming in from the imports at the top, so it's not an issue. Yeah, I think we're done. Now to really finish it, how long has this been? 26 minutes already? We still got to write unit tests. Man, I got into a big monologue about why you need memoization. There's like a word for it. It's not monologue. It's, I don't know. But these are the things that come back from the hooks. Now, here's the fun part. I don't know how to test with React Testing Library because since we decided to use it instead of Enzyme to work, I have not touched it. I've seen it. I've seen other people use it, but I have not done any React work since that was the case. So yeah, that's a good point. What have I done that's React at work in a while? You know, it's a side topic. Sometimes you get into other things and you work with Vanilla.js and doing other things and you don't go back to the React stuff. It's weird because I feel like for a long time there, for many years, all I did was React at work. Not just this job, like other jobs. And then now I'm like into other things and I haven't touched this stuff in a while. So it's built on top of React DOM and React DOM test utils. That's great, but I need to know how you use it because I need to test this hook, please. Reason, setup maybe? There's a global config. Uh-oh. I don't want to set up anything global. I just want to write a unit test right now. Like exactly write a unit test right now. That's all I want to do. I guess that could be for another video because we're already at 27 minutes. Who's going to watch for 40 minutes like me try to do this and test it? I really should do one piece of work in every video though. Let's do one piece of work. No, I don't know. If I put in a different video, people aren't going to know. It's not in the context. We'll just test it. It's fine. There's a render function, but I don't need a render function for hooks. I feel like there's a lot of information here that doesn't apply to me. Can I just call this? No, I can't because I need it to run in a React runtime for the hook to be valid. Can you explain to me how to use hooks, please? I'm about to do a Google search here, but not using Google. I would use DuckDuckGo. Migrate from Enzyme. Yeah, but Enzyme doesn't, I don't think Enzyme even works with hooks. That's a good question. That's just, look at all this stuff here. What kind of example is this? Full example? Dude, give me like the easy one. Is there a simple example? Okay, I'm just going to type hooks. No, I'm not finding it. Oh no. Hooks. Oh no. Oh, React hooks broke my test. Come on. I need to actually make the test first. I need to use after hook. The queries returned by render looks. No, that's not hook. Dude, what the heck? This looks like, no, I want hooks. No, none of this is correct. Dude, I did research on this. I swear it should allow you to test hooks. That was the whole reason that's not the only reason, but that was like the whole reason I was like, hey, we should use this instead of Enzyme. And we really, as a company, need to change everything is because this has hooks in it. This has like hooks testing. That was one of the things I remember reading about it. Why am I missing this? I'm literally searching the whole page for hooks. Hook. It's not there. It said full example. That was not a full example. Here. No, this is the after each hook. Oh, we did a search for it. Oh my God. How long am I going to have to read this? The video is what? Almost 30 minutes now? Jeez. I'm fine with it, but I'm not fine with it in terms of it's wasting my time. I'm going to look it up. Whew. I was a little confused here. There is a React hooks testing library, but it's not React testing library. It's React hooks testing library, which I guess I will also install. Yeah, so this is the thing. This is it. This is the beautiful one. It's not beautiful. I'm just saying beautiful is in that it exists and I don't feel like an idiot. Because I almost thought it was like some dude, like it's React hooks testing library.com. And I was like, this is some like dude site. And I thought this was like part of the library of testing library. And I was so stupid. But now I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, this seems like a library. There's the install step. Man, it's all the way down there. Usually they have it like right at the top. I can find it. I could have guessed what it was. All right, there we go. I was very upset there. I know these videos come off like very personal. That's on purpose because this isn't the video to say, hey, here's my presentation on how to use it. This is the presentation on how I built it. And I built it with with anger and frustration and I want to say amazement, but there's no amazement. It's more deer in the headlights. That's how also it got built. It's like, I know so many things, but then I forget things. And also this thing I didn't know. If we want to look at this, let's see. Use state, use callback, yes. So this is a hook, and we use render hook. Oh my goodness. Yes. Bam, bam. Use values state.test.js. I would name the spec files, but I'm naming the Cypress one spec files. It's just to keep them different. I want them all the same because they're two completely different things. How do we write tests again? It's describe. Oh, I got to do all this again. So I like to copy paste. It's so much easier to copy paste modify. And that is what I'm going to do. I know there are other people like me out there. You don't have to be ashamed. Okay, is that good? I don't think I did this right. Let's see. Something's wrong. That's a parenthesis. I see. Okay, good. Oh, so it's parenthesis thing. Let's see how it goes. None of this needs to be here. Cool. So render hook, and let's figure out how to do this. I know it seems weird. It's like I'm writing a form library. I expect it to be the best, and then I don't even know how to test my hooks. But I hadn't done this at home, and we didn't do it at work, so I didn't do it. I don't know how else to explain it. So some people don't know everything, and I know I feel like I'm the one expecting people to know everything because I'm trying to write this form library and make a video and expect people to understand it, right? No. So that's the case here. So I just don't know it, and we're gonna learn it together. And I should import my value state thing, right? Here we go. I'm copying, pasting, use values state. That's it. What should it do? I don't know. We're going to call it. I guess we can do that much. Oh, it's a function. You call it in the function. Let's see. How does this work? Why don't I just pass it in? Like, why don't I just do this? Is there some reason I don't pass it in like this? I'm assuming that you need to create it anew each time, but this reference never changes. I'm just going to pass it in like that. Let it call it for me. Then I get the result. Okay, there we go. And what do I do with it? Result.current. Hey, check it out. Is it like a ref? I wonder if it is a ref internally. They're doing something with this. No, I'm not returning. Expect result.current. What, count? I don't know what that would mean. Why? Oh, count is some value that's returned from here. They're returning an object, and the object has count and increment. Our object should have 3 things on it. 3 functions defined right here. So we need to expect that the result dot whatever is a function, and that one's a function, and whatever. So I shouldn't even have to do these function checks necessarily. If you're using like something like TypeScript, I'm assuming you wouldn't have to do these checks. And technically, I don't have to do them anyway, because if I call this as a function in my test, it would break if it's not a function, if that makes sense. So I don't technically need to test that these are functions at all, because I'm going to use them in my other tests. And if they don't work in those tests, is obviously something's broken. What I need to test, though, is that when I do call them, I get the value I expect. And I think, though, what's weird is I should get, this is not an observable here. So there's no way this would work. See, this would error. I would try to call get field value when I haven't already subscribed on it. Isn't that interesting? That's a bug. But where is that bug? Is that bug in this code, or is it in the implementation? You see what I'm saying? Because in these tests, if I always called subscribe to field value before I called get field value or set field value, then you would know, just based on the specifications in the test, that I always need to call this first. Yeah. Okay. We can just test it real quick just to make sure it works. Expect that to be truthy, just to make sure that works. And then we can go in and do the rest later. So type of whatever to be function. This is what we were talking about before. We don't need to do that. What else is important about this? Act. I wonder what act does. Sounds interesting. The test shown above is great and all, but it doesn't actually test what we want for the counter, i.e. counting. We can improve this test by calling the increment function and checking that the count value increases. Where's the increment function? Oh, this one? So, but what's this act thing? Like, where's it even coming from? Oh, here. I see. I was hoping that this paragraph here would say something about the act function and what the heck it does and why it needs to be a function here and why you don't just pass result.current.increment into it. Like, why do I have to make a function and do this instead of just pass this into it and let it handle it itself? I'm not sure. It doesn't say how. After increment is called, the current value now reflects. Okay, I mean, I don't have to go and read all this, but oh, hey, yes, I did notice that we wrapped increment call and act. Yes, I did notice that. I wanted that description up here or maybe here, but I guess it makes, maybe people don't care. And that's why they didn't put it until here. It'll simulate how it acts in the browser. So you call the function called act. That's so funny. Actually, I don't know how a testing library like defines things, but it's so funny to me to think of I want a function that determines how it acts. So I'm going to call it act. So funny. Oh, mutates the value of current. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you cannot destructure its value. Ah, see, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I was wondering why you passed the function in there. That does matter. Here, you can pass it straight up. They'll call it that reference doesn't change. But down here, that's why you do .current and all this stuff, because the reference could change. Whenever this whenever this hook fires an update, it would normally re-render a React component. And so this thing needs to be somehow aware of that and then return a new value and restart the file. I don't know. Okay. I feel like I'm just rambling. It's not helping anybody. I don't feel like that though. I know that. Over 9,000. Is that not like the test name? Should increment the counter from a custom? No, should be over 9,000 is the test name. Come on, people. It needs like a comment here that there should be like the explosion icon in an emoji or something like that. Did you just pick 9,000 randomly? Come on. Props and stuff like, yeah, we don't pass anything into this. So I guess that doesn't matter. I think I can get it working. I'm just looking at it. It looks nice, the site. So what are we even testing? I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I have no clue. What I can say is that this most likely will happen in every single test. So, I mean, yeah, that's going to happen. What does it do? We want to know that when you subscribe, it is in here. We get an unsubscribe function. And that when you call the unsubscribe function, you are unsubscribed. The thing is, we don't have access to the observables ref, so we can't do that. Now, I can expose this just like before, and we can use it for testing. We did test the observables themselves to make sure they work. So if I get a function back, I'm going to assume that is the unsubscribe, and that's already tested elsewhere. I technically don't need to test it in here. Then I'm like double testing all the stuff because I have to know this is an observables object and I have to know which one I'm mutating and I have to blah, blah. Like I could even make sure that it got added and whatever. There are other ways to test that. If I subscribe twice, then when I publish a value by doing a set field value, both of them should get the update. That is a way to check that both of the observables were subscribed without having to look at the internals of it. And then if I call get field value, I should get the value that we passed in that we published. So when we call set, we can call get and get the value out. I still am wondering about this here. If I want to make a default value in case it doesn't exist. So because we could do this and it could do that. And I think it returns null. And that's a safe way to do it. But the thing is, it's not even the field name. Yeah, this would come back as undefined. And it should return undefined actually, which is what this is, right? Or null? That's a good question. I don't know. That's something I thought it was null. Now I wonder. So we'll make an object and I'll put A and the return value will be fun. You can't see this, can you? And then I want to call B on it or something. And that's undefined. That's B. That's weird. This is T equals that. So T is this object. Dot B is a function. No. Oh, okay. It's undefined. That's what I want. And then if I do dot B dot blah, it's going to error. But if I put question mark dot, it's undefined. Yeah, that's what I expected. What if B was equal to null? You know what I'm saying? What if I do A, it's still undefined. So it doesn't return the value of A. It just returns undefined. It's not null. Ooh, I kind of want it to be null. I guess it's undefined. You know, if you get field value, it's undefined, right? But the problem is, here's the problem, is that fields can only be strings. And so you cannot return that. You have to return a string. Field values can only be strings. So I have to do that. I'm fixing bugs before I've written the test. I'm just like determining what I need to do to test it. I'm already fixing them. This is fine. Although this doesn't return anything, so it shouldn't return anything. Pretty simple. It's a side effect. Anything that doesn't return, I would consider it a side effect because it's doing something else when you call it. And this one is returning a value, which is the unsubscriber. Okay, cool. So I think we have to start from here and verify that we can call the unsubscriber and nothing breaks. I think I don't need to test that individually. I don't think I need to test that. What I could do is I can call this twice and I can see if the reference that we get back of the function is the same. That is something I do care about. So should create one observable per field value, per field name. Should create one observable per field name, per field. How about that? The way to test that is this video is getting long. Man, I really don't want to space it out. I just don't want this to be too long. I guess this is how long it takes. If you're going to watch me do this, you're going to hear me monologue and you're going to hear me like get upset and whatever, and you can deal. So it's result dot. Now I wonder if I have to do it in the act. So that guy was saying something about act here. And I think he called the function in act. So let's do that ourselves. It's really weird that it's called act though. I wonder if anybody else agrees. Dot increment, and then it's going to be dot subscribe to. And we pass it a couple things. Here's where we're getting interesting. I don't care what I pass in, but I want it to be consistent. And you will have to pass in a subscriber here. The observable itself doesn't care but this one, you do have to pass in something. Obviously, it's not going to work. So we'll just pass in function.prototype because I can determine that this is not going to change if we pass it in. So subscriber, I'm going to just define it here so we have it, but it will be function.prototype, and that will be our subscriber function. So I just pass subscriber, and it passes a field name, and the field name is bonkers. I don't know if anybody remembers this. There's also, if you remember this TV show, it had like Bozo the Clown. Bozo, the clown who drank too much. We don't have to pass in a field name, actually. And it's quote is fine. Because we can verify this should work regardless. So we don't have to pass in anything. I will want to pass something in, but it will work even if it's quote. So what do we want to do? Do we want to pass how we should do it? I think we should pass how we should do it. Because if you don't pass one, it's going to error, and that's fine. We can handle that if we want to be more friendly to other developers. But in this case, this is probably fine. So the field value is going to be called name. We can use name. I hope that's not confusing to other developers looking here. And we do need to import act from here. Result.current, yes. And then that will give us something back though. This is going to return. Are they expecting to use callbacks and never return and anything? Huh. I don't want to mutate a value just to get the output. Does act return anything? I guess we're going to have to find out. Console log. I feel like I'm missing something here. What do we get in our log? We got a .then. What's in this .then? So we're gonna have two things logged. One will be a promise, and the other will be the output of the .then. That's, well, what was it before? Oh my gosh, I'm lost. Do we need to call, like, what? I'm missing something. So this returns us an object with a .then, and the .then is a function. We'll see here if we can find .then. I don't see it. What about then? You just type in then. He doesn't even. This guy didn't even write, I don't know guy or girl, but this person didn't even write then anywhere in the stuff. So that's pretty interesting. I want to know more about this. What is re-render? Man, this is like magic going on here. I would like more act, like information. Oh, hey, whoa, what is this? In the React docs? What the heck? Test utilities, act. Oh, this is their thing. Oh, interesting. What does it do though? Somebody tell me how to get how do I get the return value of this callback from the act? Do I call it here and then get the return value and pass it to the act? Like, what am I supposed to do with it? What is this? I have no clue what it does. I'm just React on.render. That's completely different than the hook thing. Is it supposed to be because like I'm in here and I bet there's like a chain of callbacks this thing is taking. Every time you call it, it adds another callback. But it's creating the function from scratch. That means the callbacks are global. I don't understand. I really don't understand. I was expecting this person to tell me. I feel like this person didn't understand it either. Just because there's little documentation on it. That's the only reason. It doesn't mean the person didn't understand how it works. It's like, here, use this act function. I don't know why, but I won't write that. I don't think that's the case. It's making fun because I don't understand it and I want to know how it's used. So all of these callbacks are, okay, the async utilities automatically wrap the waiting code in the asynchronous act wrapper. Yeah, this is a problem. I need to access to the output of this. And I guess this is a side effect. So it doesn't take a return value. So maybe it doesn't care about it. I wonder if I can get the return value though. If I return from here, does it give me the return value in my console log? No, it dies. I'm thinking if you return from it, it has to be a promise. Yeah. I guess I have to create a value out here and mutate it and then get it in here. That's crap. Why do I have to do that? It's supposed to be easy. I actually need the value from this. I'm not going to use let. I refuse. Unsubscribe ref equals that. The current. Okay, cool. Now I'm writing code in my test. I don't like that. It's the result of this. This is so weird. That's one. Why is it failing here? That's one. I guess I need to create, one observable for a field. So I need to create two of these. So I need subscribe ref 1. No, unsubscribe 1 ref, unsubscribe 2 ref, because ref goes at the end. I can feel myself getting tired now. It's great in one of these videos. I don't want it to be like that. So this is fine. The same subscriber, the same field. The subscriber can be different. It doesn't need to be the same, but it doesn't matter because it's not returning me a subscriber. So that's why I don't care. Like it's going to add it into there. We already tested the create observable. It can take multiple subscribers that are exactly the same. It doesn't do anything to break. And then both of these, we need to call them after we're done, but we need to also verify that they're equal before we call them. But we can also verify after we call them. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't delete the reference. Like they still exist. Even if I unsubscribe here, I can make sure that this one, oh, it's .current. We have to call .current. I can make sure that is equal to that, to be that. Okay, should create one observable. Okay, object is equality, yeah. What is it? Function anonymous was expected. Are these not the same? Oh, because you get a different unsubscriber. Oh, no. Wow. I feel like an idiot. I wanted to see this. I thought I was getting the observable. So there's no way to verify. There's no way to verify. I would have to subscribe to, the only way to verify that is that like, it's really should get values on all subscribers, should publish values to all subscribers there. So basically we need to verify that when you call set field value, that all of the subscribers are getting it. I think that's how you would test this, which is fine, but we don't have a subscriber now and we need to check the value. So I feel like there's extra steps we got to do now. The subscriber, okay, here, I got something. This could be just FN. So we're creating a mock function. I think this is how you do it. Like I've done this before when we were testing it earlier. Now I feel like I said, I'm second guessing myself because I remember seeing in the docs something about mock and jest, and now I'm really second guessing myself. So weird. Subscriber, it could be the same as subscriber in both. We just needed to verify that this got called twice. Yeah, it could be the same. We just verify I got twice, and that meant both of them got it. And so I have less work to do now. I wonder if I could have done that in my other tests. So we get a second unsubscriber, and we do get rid of both, and then we check that the subscriber to have been called twice, times twice or whatever, to have been called times two times, and then also that the result was, oh, we have to set a value on it. We're not there yet, but we'll call set field value. But it's not set field value, it's the result current set field value. There's a lot of .currents happening in here. I'm very much seeing that. And then here it would be the field value name. So name. I really don't know what I want to pass for this. And then the value, which is, we're going to create the value outside of it so I can verify that's the one I get called. So the value is going to be that. Pass that in. And then down here, we will expect to have been called with value called. I want to see if both of them were the value. So nth called with, I think that's what it is. And it's 1 in value and then 2 in value. What this does is verify that both times it got called, it had value and that it was also only called twice. Yes, that's correct. I was expecting this not to be correct, but it was this green color last time I used it. So this is correct. Cool. So we verified that the publishing works. Now, after all that work, man, this test is not readable. It's really not. I wish it could be better. The fact that the test exists, I think, is more important, but it's not that readable. Should get set values. Should get set values. Yeah, because when you call set field value, you should get the field value. Should get the set field value. We're not even done yet with these tests. Here's something else. So I did name and I did name here. What if we pass in a different one? What if the code is broken and it fires the same one on all of the names? So we need to test that. We're not done with this test in particular, but should get the set field value. It should get the field value. Should get a field value. Should get the expected field value. Should get field value. Should get the field value. It's the one that we expect it to be. So it's the field value, not a field value. In this case, we don't have a subscriber. We don't do any subscriptions, but it won't create it if we don't do a subscription. So at this point, we could just do function. I know that if I don't pass in a subscriber, it will still work. So I just won't pass it in. Let's just leave it off because we already made the code work if it's not there. So the field name would be name. That's fine. And then we will call unsubscriber F to unsubscribe ourselves. Oh, see this one here? I think this needed to also be an act. I'm not sure. I don't understand why I wouldn't or would not want to use act. That makes me very confused. Is it so that the next time this gets called, it's called based on whatever the result has at this point in time? So I know we don't have to do that in our tests. I know we don't have to use act because our reference, like everything has this as the second arg. So they never changed. They're always set the first time and they never changed after that. So that's why we don't have to use, the act off of these. Honestly, I could have just pulled them all off a result current and whatever and been fine. But to make the tests accurate and to make sure they're correct for what we're testing, I will always use this just to make sure 100% is doing what I expect. Okay. I'm gonna copy this. So I'm gonna use it down here in our current test that we haven't finished yet. We were going to set the field value to that, which is name. And there it is. Like I said, we have to subscribe first before we can even do this, which is weird because I don't know if we want to do that or not. We can test getting the value if there's no subscriber, and we should also be able to test setting it. But if you're setting it, see, here's the thing. If you're setting the value, most likely the field has to exist at some point. You can't just set the value on no field. I would have to create this if it doesn't exist. And I don't want to call the subscribe to field value. I want to create this, and maybe I have a different function that creates this, and then I can just create it here on the set if that happens, and then push a value onto it. So you can still get state. There's some things I need to change. Let's do that now, just to get it out of the way. Use the get one, I guess. It doesn't return a value though, does it? It does not. This is a mutation. It's not a mutation, but it is a side effect again. So it is this one. And there. And we don't need to do the if check in here. We're going to expect that if this gets called, somebody already did the work to see if we needed to add it. It's going to be add field value. Yeah, hey, there's our add. I could say create field value observable. I could do that too, because we're not exposing this one. So down here, we would create it for that given field name. Yeah. And then we can use this in other places. So here's one where we do need a second arg. Yeah. It never changes again, but it still needs to be there, which is fine. And our setter will also need this. We'll figure out how we're going to use it, but this also needs to take a field name. Yeah, it's all fine. That's great. And then here, we're going to basically need to know if it exists first and then call. I don't want to call it here, like create field observable value or whatever. I would want to be very explicit about when this is called. And I only want it to call when it doesn't exist. I know it's like weird to do this check in multiple places, but I think it's still valuable because it makes it clear your intention. Although this whole if statement really doesn't need to be here because it's going to be in two places. It's going to be in these two places. It's easier to break that way. It's not very dry, but I might do it. I might leave it. This is very easy to read. If it doesn't exist, then create it and then set the value, which is dumb, but there's probably a reason for this. That's why I'm doing this at all. And this will need the second arg as well. So I'm trying to wonder what is going on here. How far are we on time? Yeah, we're about an hour. I need to speed this up. I should have done the unit tests in a different video, but I feel like I said earlier, nobody's going to understand what the heck we're testing or what this was if they didn't watch me build it in the first place. I don't know. Yeah, I think this is okay. I really don't know. This if statement belongs in here because it should only create it if it's not there. And also in here. So maybe we should do that. Maybe we should move this whole if statement out. I think I'm fine with that. It's just weird because we're going to call create no matter what and then publish. And it doesn't explain here that I'm creating it if it doesn't exist. You know how they have like update or insert in databases? That's pretty much what this is. This is update or insert. And I want to be explicit about the fact that we're only calling the create function if it doesn't exist. We would rename that. If we rename this, then I could move this to it. But because of the naming, I can't. And it's only used twice, so it's okay. But it's still, why would I do that in the exact same behavior in two places? There's no other place where I'd want this. I could do it on field registration, which is I think how I did it before, is that I created all the observables at the point of registration so that you always had the values. But here I've made it so there's a default. This is obviously going to start looking, the internals are going to start looking different from what I've done before because I've already done something different where you have the get value function. It's going to reduce a lot of the headaches in it. And also these are all in separate hooks. So they're going to be improved. I know nobody else here has like seen the old code, but like in my head, I'm still seeing it and I'm still like seeing how I'm improving it. And I have to think through it because it's an architectural thing. I have to figure out how to make it something that a library would be able to take in and make testable and all that stuff. So I will keep this out here for now. And again, I'm not exposing it, so we don't have to test it. We can test it in other ways, but we don't have to test it. We can basically test it we can call set value without subscribing, which is what we're going to do now. Because this should get the field value that we set. So we should not have to now do that. See, I'm fixing this. We can just call the set value. And then we can expect that the something has this value. Oh, we call get field value. Yeah, see, here's where it's like weird. We got to create a ref here. Field value ref equals an object with .current that is null. And then what if we want it to be null? What if like it returns null and something? Maybe I should just not define this. I don't know. I'm a little confused. Field value ref.current equals the result of this. No, because we're calling get field value. This is actually get field value. There we go. And just has a name. And now field value ref should have the value. So we do field value ref.current. And does it expect it to have been called once? I don't care about that. No, I care that I care that the value is equal to value, the one we passed in, because we're calling get value under the hook. The observables get value. This should work. So okay, there it is. Yeah, it worked. Great. Perfect. What's weird about the watch? I feel like it's rerunning all my tests and not just these tests. Is it because create observable is used by here that it reruns a create observable test? I feel like it would only run these tests again if I change create observable. But I really do get the feeling that it's rerunning all of my tests. I don't want it to run all my tests. Just watch only changed files. How about that? Best kept secret, just testing only changed file. I bet you I've implemented this at work and forgot about it. Change since master. Yes. Yeah, see something like this. We're going to put this in the code base because I don't want to retest everything. So I've come back with a few changes. I added also cache and only changed. That's the one I used. I remember this now. And then error undeprecated. So I went and looked up a few things, but I don't remember what this does. What was it? I don't know. It's fine. I added these. And so now when we run jest, it should only run the changes. And it should also cache the tests. And also I think I broke it because, shoot. Okay, I'll get back to that. Here we go. Now I should be able to run only the tests that changed. So should get the field value. It did, yes. And so I said something about this is not done because of some reason that, like, what if you call it on 2 different fields and you want to make sure that it subscribed to the correct one? So it should only receive updates on the current field. Should publish values to all subscribers. That's not, yeah, that's what it's doing. Should publish values only to that particular, that field, to a single field. All field subscribers. How about that? So that one tested that if we call the publish, well, everything gets it. And we should call publish multiple times. We should not just call it once. That would be another test, is that if you call it multiple times, that it would do that. We could like add that as part of the test, but it's like a separate test. Should publish values to a single field. Only to a single field. Yes, that would be fine. This one, I can also should publish values to field subscribers. Should publish multiple values to all field subscribers. We just say field subscribers. This is just testing the publish. So in this test, multiple values. How do we get multiple values? We call the set function multiple times. So we've subscribed twice. That's fine. We actually don't care about that now. We tested that. See, we already tested that piece, so we don't care about it. Way too far down. We can get rid of the unsubscribed too for our only one that we have. When we fire this multiple times, we expect, oh, I see. Yeah, I want both subscribers. I want 2 subscribers to make sure 100% that when I call this, we get it twice. Value 2. So const value 2 equals, yeah, we care that it got called first with value 1 and then value 2. We're not going to call it value. Yeah, value 2 is fine. I guess that helps order it. There's got to be better ways of doing this. Like I could run this through a loop, but the problem is that we're adding code, but that's not actually my issue. It's not the code. The problem is that this act function, that's my issue right now. I don't need this act function. We talked about that, but I'm going to leave it there just in case, because if anybody changes anything or whatever, you can tell that it broke. That's the whole point of doing the test. So the subscriber would have been called 4 times now because there are 4 things subscribed to it. The first one and second one are going to be the value, and the third and the fourth are going to be the second value. See, this is why I'm thinking I don't need 2 subscribers, but I want to know that if you fire on the same subscriber multiple times, that I really don't need to be testing 2. I think it's too complicated to do that. So this is fine. Yeah. And then I can cut this down. So there's only 2 times. First one is value. The second one is value 2. And that makes sense. This is obvious to anybody looking at the test. I don't think we need to test that if you have multiple subscribers, all of them are getting the same subscription. Yes, that is something that can be wrong. And yes, that is something we should test, but we're not testing it. I just feel like we're double testing something if I'm doing that. At that point, I would just test this and only this. Should publish values only to a single field. Yes. So when we publish values, only a single field should get it. So we only need one unsubscribe function, but we want multiple fields that we're setting values on. So we need a second value. We can say name value, name field value, and then we can say the email field value is the second one. And it's a different object. And that way we can determine which one we got in case the field, the test breaks. So in this case, we want to expect our subscriber, yes, to have been called once, and it should have been called with the name field value and nothing else, because we were not subscribing to the email one. Then should get the field value. Yes. So if we set a value, we should be able to get the value. We also need to make sure that it defaults to quote quote. That is actually something that we want to test for. Should get a default field value. So the value, if we do a get, would be quote quote. So if we do a get, yes, here, we expect this thing to be quote quote. I think that's all we need in terms of testing. I know there's a lot of functions, but like we got everything. We got the get, we got the set, we got the subscribe. We used them multiple ways. I think that's all we need. Let's see. It should publish values to field subscribers. We did test that to subscribers. It should publish multiple values to field subscribers. We did that too. To field subscribers, it says S. I guess I want to like change my code. I just feel like it's weird to say it should have been called 4 times and whatever. And yeah, I'll test it. I test it because I want to make sure the code is correct. So to all subscribers here. I have to just change it a bit. That's fine. It's fine. Don't go crazy. I'm obviously talking to myself. I know. I didn't test that if I output on name that email also goes, and all my tests have been using name. So if name just happens to work, then it works. I think this is still fine, but that's something to keep in mind if you're doing this yourself, that you might want to test those things. So it got called 4 times because I have 1 subscriber. If I had 4 subscribers, it would be a little different, but I'm testing with 1 subscriber because I think it's a little bit easier to test with. It's going to break. There we go. I saved it so quickly, but I'm pretty sure it did not just happen to pass. I think it passed after. Yeah, it looks like it reran this test. That is not the test we modified though. We modified the multiple. Just make sure it's passing, just in case. I don't know how this watch works when you do only changed. I think it picks everything that's changed since master though. I'm pretty sure it's like using Git, because I had to install Git in the Docker container for this to work. This is not a Docker container, but normally that's what I had to do. Should get the field value. We said that if you just do a field value. Oh, this is get the set field value. And then this one gets it that it's quote. If we never set it. Yeah. Get a default field value, get the field value. Publish values only to a single field. That's correct. Publish multiple values to field subscribers. And this one's confusing. Publish values only to a single field. But we really do that only. We only publish to a single field. Set values only on a single field. How about that? On a single field. How about that? That should make more sense to somebody else looking at it. Should set values on a single field. Cool. I think that's it. We wrote the use value state. We wrote the test for it, which I'm very happy about. This is honestly going pretty smoothly, although I'm forgetting a lot, so it'll get worse. But the create observable is here, and that's really nice. And then initial value observables. This is just your initialization of it, which is an object. And we are creating the object outside of it because we are not mutating the object anywhere in here. If we mutated the object, then if you like newed up a second one of these, it would get broken. And I am not testing for that. And I think it's okay, but not testing for mutations could be an issue. I don't think my ESLint rules test for that. So even though I'm not doing it, I'm not even, basically, I know I'm missing the test for it. I know that makes it a problem. Let me think. Somebody could come in here and put a mutation and I wouldn't notice, and it would mutate it for every single one that like the initialized value would be mutated. Unless this had happened ahead of time. There's good points there. So I guess I could just do it here. The thing is, I don't want to have to create this object every time. Like every time this runs, it will create a new object here, which I don't want. But I will do this and make sure the test pass because I don't want somebody to accidentally mutate that object. Cool. There we go. Now, there's one thing that does not make sense here. And I didn't think about it until now, and we can do it next time, but you can pass values in, meaning we have to initialize this with values that were passed in. So this might still be useful because we're not going to mutate the value. We're never going to mutate the values they pass in. So I think this is still okay. I know the cost of creating a new object is like so low and whatever, but I want to be consistent with how I'm doing the rest of the code. This would be like a default prop kind of thing. But in the future, when we do call get field values get values state in here, we also need to be aware that values needs to be passed in. So it needs to accept initial values and it needs to do something with these. And we're currently not processing this. We don't have anything here. We need a use effect to process the initial values and check for when it changes and then reinitialize our observables ref with a new set of observables based on the current values, which is how this is a lot harder than the previous one in terms of that, but they'll be simpler. That'll be next time. Cool. I hope you enjoyed watching and seeing this come together. Pretty soon here, we'll start being able to put stuff into the form itself. And once we do that, we can go to Cypress testing, which I'm going to be much happier about. It's going to be cool to see it live. I don't exactly know how it's going to work over the video because I feel like I'm limited in terms of screen real estate here. Most of the limiting screen real estate is because I have to zoom in so much, but I also feel limited in general. I just feel like I know I have 6 monitors. I like to put things around on different monitors. This is constrained. So when we get Cypress, I don't know how it's going to work. It also opens a browser like full screen. It doesn't open it in this side over here. So we got to think about some things like that. I wonder if I can just refresh it. Yeah, I should be able to, when I'm running the test, I think you can hit refresh. And maybe you can even automatically refresh. If I remember correctly, it should watch your files for changes that it's like looking at it, the certain URL or whatever. Yeah. I got to remember how Cypress. We're at a good spot. Cool. Goodbye.